Hi, this is Jaya. Now we shall see the summary of The Ant and the Grasshopper written by Somerset Maugham. Actually, Somerset Maugham first tells us the story which is in the fable. Fables means they are short stories written with animals like human characters, and generally a moral or a lesson will be taught through those stories. And The Ant and the Grasshopper is a very famous fable because uh, here it gives you a very beautiful moral of telling that hard work only will help you in life. We have two characters here, the ant and the grasshopper. The ant is very hardworking and it keeps collecting food for the winter time, whereas the grasshopper enjoys the summer and keeps singing and playing and just passing its time in happiness. And when winter comes, the ant goes into his house and is very safe because it has enough food for the winter and it is warm inside. Whereas a grasshopper did not do any preparation for the winter, so it is suffering in the winter and it is also hungry. So it comes to the ant's house and it taps the door and it begs it for food. But the ant tells that when I was working very hard to keep my self safe in the winter, you were playing. And now if you don't have food, it is only because you wasted your time. And it closes the door and goes off inside, and the grasshopper, actually the fable will say, it dies in the because of cold and hunger. So this is the story which is generally told to us when we are children, so that we will know the value of hard work and we'll also know how to make ourselves prepared for the future. Now here he tells the story and then he goes into his own story where he says about two people, that is, one is George Ramsay, another is Tom Ramsay. Here George Ramsay is the elder brother and he is very hardworking, so we can take him as the ant. And the younger one is Tom Ramsay, who loves to enjoy life and is very playful and is very idle and all that, so he is the grasshopper in this story. And so now the writer meets George Ramsay in the restaurant, and George Ramsay is looking very sad. So he asks him, "Why are you sad? Are you thinking about Tom?" And he says, "Yes." And here actually the writer first describes how George Ramsay looks. He says that though he is only in his late 40s, that is nearing 50, he looks as though he is 60 years because he has worked so hard in his life. Whereas his brother, who is only 1 year younger to him, he looks as though he is in 30s. And he is always very charming, very joyful, and he always has a lot of friends around him. Whereas George Ramsay is always very hard working, he's very honest, and he's very loyal to his wife, and he has got 4 daughters to whom he is a very good father. He's been very regular to his work, he rarely takes leave also, and throughout his life he has been troubled by Tom, because Tom has never been careful about his life. He has never saved anything for his life and he always gets into trouble. And George Ramsay, because of the family's integrity, he comes in and he saves Tom in the last minute, but he knows that Tom is going to suffer because of his the way he is leading his life. He is sure it will lead him into problems. And here what happens is, so he is asking, so the writer meets him in the restaurant and he asks him, what happened, why are you like this, is the Tom the cause for your worry now? Because Tom has always been the black sheep in the family, which is a very respectful family of the Ramsays. And he is married and he's got 2 children, but suddenly what happened is he wanted to enjoy his life, so he left his wife, he also left his job, and he went off to Europe and he started gambling, dancing, eating in a very expensive restaurants, and he started dressing himself beautifully also. And for all this he started borrowing money from his friends, and he did not spend this money for necessities, he was spending the money for luxuries, and he was depending on George also for the money. And George, thinking that he has to save the family's honor, and in order to help Tom to start a new life, George has helped him. When he gave him some money, Tom borrowed the money, but he did not start a new life. Instead of that, he bought a motor car and he started buying jewels and he was spending the money like that. And this was the actual hard-earned money of George, and George really got angry and he decided not to give Tom any more money. And then afterwards, Tom got a job in a restaurant, and then he went and became a taxi driver. So what happened is George was again worried because the family's image will be degraded if everyone comes to know that one from the Ramsay's family is working as a taxi driver. So he gave £100 to him, asking to get a job and not to work as a taxi driver. But Tom became more and more wild and thoughtless, and he was very selfish also. And soon a news came to George that he has cheated a man named Cronshaw. And it was even said that if the matter is going to go to the court, and George was really scared because if the name goes to the court, no one is going to say about Tom. They're going to talk about the family, and the family's reputation will be spoiled. So immediately he went, though he had already decided not to give any more money to him. He went there and he gave £500 and settled the matter outside the court. But soon he learned that Tom and that Cronshaw, who said he is going to go to the court, both of them had gone to Monte Carlo to spend a month there to enjoy themselves. And George felt that he was cheated by them, and in this way, Tom has swindled money from him. And he thought, okay, we will anyway work very hard and settle life, and hereafter we should never give money even if we come to know about anything. But the sadness of George now is that recently he got a news about Tom, which made George very sad. That is, Tom got engaged to a woman who was old enough to be his mother. And within a few weeks after her engagement, she died, and she has left £500,000, a yacht, a house in London, and a house in the country to Tom. And this news came to George, and he was really shocked because all his life he has thought that only hard work will lift a man in his life. And if you're going to be idle and if you're going to live a life like Tom, you're going to suffer in a later life. But life has its own twists and turns, where Tom, who has been an idle person, that is the grasshopper of the fable, suddenly becomes a millionaire by getting £500,000, a yacht, a house in London, and a house in the country, by marrying an old woman who is going to die in a few days. So this is the way the story ends. And actually, when George Ramsay says this, the writer couldn't control his laughter. He laughs in such a way that even falls off from the chair, and which makes George even more angry. The story ends here. And what the writer is trying to say is that life is full of twists and turns, so we can never say. But that doesn't mean that we have to follow the ways of Tom. It's just very lightly, humorously said, because in life we do see people who are deceitful prospering, whereas people who are honest and who are hardworking suffering. So that is what the writer is trying to project in this story. I hope you like the story. Like the video also, and share with your friends. And if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. And while subscribing, don't forget to press the bell button. Only then you will get the notification of all my videos as soon as I post them. Thank you.